This is the first day of this June 1981 7-day sesshin, and we will begin by reading a poem from the Sutra of the Sixth Patriarch. It comes at the end of the chapter on Prajna. It's not a poem in the usual sense. At every chapter's end, the Patriarch says something very concisely. It's not exactly a summary. How it really sounded in Chinese, we'll never know unless we learn Chinese. This is the translation by the brothers Fung and Fung, and the book is published by the Buddhist Church of San Francisco, California. Before starting to read and comment, let us talk about listening to Teisho. There are a number of people here who have never been to a sesshin with a teacher. A number of people who haven't been sesshin in a long time. And anyways, can one always hear freshly what is being said, no matter whether the words sound familiar or unfamiliar? They will sound freshly if one doesn't just listen to the words and the meaning of the words. But one looks and sees and does and acts. First of all, do take a comfortable position, the most comfortable that you can. If this person has left you any cushions, please use extra cushions. Change the position if it becomes cramped or uncomfortable. But can one do that quietly? This is a practice all in itself. Not that one practices it, one does it. Listening carefully to all this extra sound. To move the robe, move the leg, or move a cushion. Can it be done without anything extra? Also, to take care that one is not overtired for Teisho. Teisho is 1/3 of sesshin. Zazen and Doksan being the other 2/3. So if one sleeps or dozes through Teisho, one misses, or one may miss something. There's an extra rest period provided before Teisho. If you're tired from the night before, from work, to take that rest. Oh, if you're not tired, it's all right to sit in the zendo and rest this agitated mind. Is it possible? Some people ask how I'm to work with my practice during Teisho. There's no need to count or be experiencing inhalation and exhalation. Put counting aside. Don't put the inhalation and exhalation aside. It happens. And if it's in awareness, what problem is there? But don't focus, zero in on it and exclude everything else. This is not how one practices this anyways. Mu or hu? Is it a word that comes in between, a word that one feels compelled to say in order not to lose it? Then it does come in between. In that case, not to repeat the word hu or mu, but to listen, all openness. Listening without any preconceived ideas without always referring back to one's memory, what one already knows about this. Listening and working with the teacher. The teacher's working during Teisho. Can one work right along? Without any ideas. Or seeing how ideas come in the way. How they divide and blind and fog. Clear listening is the mu mind or the hu mind that is open, not knowing, and yet looking and listening, as with the eyes and ears of a child. Virtues and learned counselors. I have a poem of the Formless, which all of you should understand and recite, whether you're a layman or monks. But be sure to practice it. For if you do not practice it for yourselves, it will be valueless just to remember the words alone. It's very simple to remember words, and we're very much trained to do that since school and before. And being able to talk or recite from memory is considered to be intelligent. We get graded on that, and the more we remember at the right time for the right test, the better grades we get. In Zen practice, this kind of memory is a hindrance, is an absolute obstacle, because it only engages one fraction of the mind of memory, but a very powerful part of the mind, because memory runs us, like the memory runs a computer, determines us. So one must see for oneself what these words mean in actuality, in truth, in oneself. It must be one's prime concern to step out of this world of words and ideas and notions and opinions. To see simply. Seeing is always simple. Thinking is very, very complicated. Listen to my poem. To speak with comprehension, to speak with comprehension, and to comprehend also in the mind is to be like the sun in the clear sky. It is clear that one can only speak with comprehension if one also comprehends in the mind. The trouble is we don't understand that we don't comprehend in the mind, and we think we speak with comprehension. Or do we? Several people in recent Doksan's group instruction meetings with people in the training program have said, I'm only speaking words. It's always just words. It's an incredibly valuable discovery to make. That's direct seeing. most people don't realize that they're doing this. And it becomes fogged over so easily. Because words rule us. Rule our behavior, our action, our thinking. They all come out of memory. Past experiences. What has been drilled into us. Parents, teachers, friends, books. All the media and religious doctrines as well. Can one be free from the rule of words and use words without being under their power and without trying to influence people with them? Using unloaded words. The next stanza. By receiving the transmission of the doctrine of seeing into our self-nature, we're able to be delivered from this world and to abolish prejudiced ideas. By receiving the transmission of the doctrine of seeing into our self-nature. Transmission in Zen always referring to understanding outside of words, outside of scriptures, outside of letters, directly seeing into the truth of oneself. Seeing into one's self-nature, there's absolutely clear seeing, that is the self-nature. Without any partiality, no taking sides, no partisanship, none of that. No me and them or you. Which is not denying that there are 57 people in this zendo. And I don't know right now how many million of human beings or billion in this world. So by seeing into one's self-nature, one's truth, one's true nature, we're able to be delivered from this world, to abolish prejudiced ideas. It's not that one abolishes them, there's no need to abolish them. They drop away in seeing as being so much bias, so much narrowness and confinement and falseness. In clear seeing there is no bias. There can't be, or else it's not clear seeing. Bias always means I prefer this to that. I will look at this very thoroughly, but not at that. That doesn't interest me. Or this may not agree with what I want to believe. Or this disturbs me. Or I hate that. We're able to be delivered from this world. What does this mean? This has been humanity's, human beings, craving, yearning, since time immemorial, at least at the time of sorrow and suffering, which for most of them is most of the time. To be delivered from this world of suffering, let's say, and to be delivered into a world of joy, peace, paradise, another better life. What is the world? What is the world? Recently, I saw a print of a sumi, a brush stroke painting. It's very interesting. Usually the circle is one of the few symbols used in Zen. A circle, a bold brush stroke, symbolizing wholeness, completeness, and yet empty. And in this circle, again with a few brush strokes, was the world. Immediately discern the continents and oceans. Is that the world? Or is it a drawing? A hope? An idea? The idea being, the hope being, can this be one world? No division. No battling. No wars, no disunity. One whole, complete world for every human being to live in without fear, without starving, without battle. Is this an idea or is this a fact? What is the world? We're not talking right now about mountains and oceans and trees, the sky, the clouds. I don't think anybody has ever been yearned to be delivered from that, except maybe after catastrophe, an earthquake or so. Although in an earthquake people act. I don't think they think of deliverance. They act. And when it's over, they go back, because it's their home. They've always lived there. It amazed me when I was little to hear of these eruptions of Mount Vesuvius, and to hear that people will always go back. Why do they do that? I was scared for them, but they weren't scared for themselves. They went back. The earth becomes a problem when we start misusing it, using it partially, unintelligently, selfishly, for gain, for profit, or for whatever, for something. What is the world? Isn't it human beings like you and me in relationship? Here or anywhere else, and always human beings in relationship, or rather most of the time not in relationship, but in preoccupation with oneself. isolated in fear, in apprehension, or in wanting. And these wantings clashing within one and clashing among each other. Pick any one person from anywhere in the world. And in that person, most likely there is fear, hope, self-concern, ideas, inner battle, outer battle. Here and there, joy and delight that one then wants to fixate, hold on to, repeat, not let go. What is the world? What is deliverance from the world? Isn't it deliverance from narrowness, self-enclosedness, from this overpowering urge to take care, aggrandize, push forth the self, defend it, protect it? What is it other than an idea of oneself, which clashes with other people's ideas of themselves? Same holding for groups of people. A group of people can become one big me. One is identified with it. It becomes me. Thinking one isn't thinking of oneself, one is thinking of one's group, it's still thinking of oneself. The protection one gets out of it, the gratification. A feeling of importance. And the division, the antagonism that groups have among each other, countries have among each other. What is deliverance from this world? Isn't it to come to clarity within oneself? What this self is? Whether there is such a thing as a self? How it acts, talks, relates or doesn't relate? To see that in clarity, not under the influence of ideals, utopias. Seeing into our self-nature, we're able to be delivered from this world of self-centeredness. Is this possible? That there is no world. They're only human beings, seen as they are, without any antagonism. Not them, they do that. But just seeing. oneself and everyone else as one is, as they are. The doctrine in itself, says Wei Nang, is neither fast nor slow. There's only fastness and slowness in people's transition from delusion to awakening. Why does one cling to one's little cell and all that it's filled with, papered with, wallpaper over wallpaper? Why does one cling to it? One say it's wrong, but to see it and to question why. Not looking for rational explanations, but to question. Leave the question there. And practice and question. But as to this way of seeing into one's nature, even the most ignorant person cannot say he does not understand. It's all right to say I don't understand, but not to use it as an excuse, not to question and to work. If one uses it for an excuse, that's that. Though the doctrine is explained through 10,000 approaches, the final principle is ultimately but one. Though the doctrine is explained through 10,000 approaches, the final principle is ultimately but one. Wei Nang does not say there's one right approach. The final principle is one. What is this final principle? What is this one? The same question as what is mu, or who am I? Beyond all methods of inquiring. Does one need to find out what this one is, this one principle, this one work, one function, which is undivided, unbiased and unprejudiced, impartial, because in that there is no part, there's the whole. Wei Nang continues, even more so in the midst of the dark hours of anxieties, we should have ever arising the sunlight of wisdom. Even more so in the midst of the dark hours of anxieties, we should have ever arising the sunlight of wisdom. Can one put it this way? Even in the midst of the dark hours of anxiety, can there be seeing? Can there be attention, attending? What usually is I don't want that. It's horrible. It's wrong. Something must be wrong with me. I must get rid of it. Which is division and separation and the cause for great anxiety. When there is anxiety, what is it? If one runs away from it, one will never know. One thinks it shouldn't be, one is already away from it. But it's there. It's eating one up. Can one practice in the midst of it, undivided? The breathing. In the midst of anxiety, without finding fault with it. Without saying, well, I have to live with it. This is also already a verbalization, which is a refuge, an escape. One has never faced something directly, and nothing in between. No explanation, no words, nothing. Just that. Can it fill one completely? So there's no me left, only not knowing what this is. Who or who, or the breathing. And anxiety is not anxiety. One doesn't know what it is. And it changes like everything changes. We don't fix it in our thoughts and ideas and memories. And then live in that. And provoke it again through the memory. Huineng continues, with biased views, anxieties appear. With biased views, anxieties appear. But with virtuous views, the anxieties disappear. That we all know, with biased views, anxieties appear. The anxiety, will someone share this view with me? One doesn't want to stand alone with one's biased views. One wants to have support and comfort. If one is attacked, there's anxiety. The anxiety of one may be wrong or one may be misunderstood. One may be losing one's best friend who has a different view. Anxiety there. With virtuous views, anxieties disappear. Very careful how we understand this word virtuous. It's not to look for a view that has been proclaimed by somebody who has been proclaimed as a virtuous person, as a virtuous view. This is not at all what is being talked about here. You may recall, we've often read from Bankei's autobiography, how as a young man, being forced to acquaint himself to study Confucian doctrine, the writings of Confucius, he came upon this admonition by Confucius: one must illumine bright virtue. And it struck him. What is virtue? Nobody could answer it. Finally, some Zen monk told him to sit. Maybe he could find out what virtue was. He couldn't tell him. Who can tell you? Nobody can tell you. Because then it's just a word, and then one will imitate and adopt a virtuous behavior. But that's not virtue. Virtue is there when there's no one to adopt anything. When there's no one. When there's clarity. No partiality. No biased view. Wanting to get a little something out of it for myself. when there's clarity of seeing and speaking out of that, can there be anxiety? Anxiety is always connected with a me. The me is anxiety. Because the me is isolated and alone, lonesome, let's say. Always wants to find support. And in that support, no matter how strong it seems, in that there's always anxiety that that support may dwindle again or fall off. Wenang continues, when we need use neither bias nor virtue's views, then there's purity and tranquility without blemish. When we need use neither biased nor virtue's views, and there's purity and tranquility without blemish. When we need use nothing. Just acting freely, not for use, not for my use or in order to be useful to someone. To speak out of clarity. It's for another one to see or not to see. Will the one who speaks be anxious whether the other person understands or not? Then there's a me who wants to be understood, who wants to have followers. Bodhi is originally within our self-nature. But if we have the idea that we have it, we're at once deluded. To have the idea that I have Bodhi is just like any other idea, it's an idea. Stimulating one to act in a certain way, maybe to talk in a certain way. It's not the action of Bodhi, the voice of Bodhi. In the voice of Bodhi there is no idea. Who is there to have it? Is it me and my Bodhi? Whose Bodhi? Bodhi always meaning clarity, wisdom, love and compassion. They are nobodies. They're there. Can one be in touch with it? Can one come in touch with it? And if there has been a touch, a glimpse, can one avoid to think, I have it? Or I must keep it, I must hold on to it, then one is right back into the hamster cage. Round and round and round. When one thinks I must have it, I must keep it, with that come anxieties. I may not keep it. And doubts, do I have it? Because it's a partial view. Wenang continues, in the midst of delusions, quiet the mind by not pursuing them. For only the clear virtuous mind is beyond the three hindrances. Three hindrances, according to the footnote, hindrances or barriers are the anxieties, the erroneous or evil actions that one has done, that have been done in the past, and the retribution. Better word for is, less loaded word is the consequences of what has been done in the past. If one looks into one's past, which is infinite, there isn't an evil action that one hasn't committed. One has done everything under the sun. Because we are all humankind. And whatever has been done has consequences, obviously. Can this chain be broken? What is the breaking of the chain? Incidentally, it's always mentioned, the erroneous or evil action is also all the good actions that have been done. Because under certain circumstances, raised in a fairly stable environment, we act, quote, good. Raised in a very unstable, painful environment, we may or may not act, quote, bad. It's all so relative, so let's not cling to any images of ourselves as being good or bad. Much more important is, can this chain of action and consequence be broken? This chain of selfish action and the consequences that come from it. Living with these consequences, whatever they may be. We spoke before about anxiety, no separation, no hankering, or what is the word? Finding fault with it. Like in the Bible, Job, there's a word, what he did with God. He was arguing, why me? And very difficult to live with a difficult situation, a sickness, a death in the family. Why me? Why him? But to be that sorrow, to feel it without separation, to be that anxiety, because you are that, we are that. Everything else is separation through thought. The anxiety is there, to be felt without any fault finding. In the midst of delusion, quiet the mind by not pursuing them, for only the clear virtuous mind is beyond the three hindrances. In clarity, when there's no me, what are the consequences? Are there any? Or is it just from moment to moment? Quiet the mind by not pursuing them. One will think and say, in this agitation that I find myself in most of the time, the mind just rolling around in all directions, wanting this, wanting that, not wanting this, wanting to be like this but not like that, wanting to have that but not this. Plus one's resentments of other people who give one a hard time. How can I quiet the mind? The mind is in agitation. Wenang says, by not pursuing them, quiet the mind by not pursuing the delusions. Can there be an awareness how one is entangled in a resentment, in a want, and then not pursue it? Not say it's wrong, that's pursuing it. Not justifying it, that's pursuing it. Giving no energy to it whatsoever. But questioning this whole agitation, this whole embroilment, this whole entanglement, as it is, it's not understood, it's confused, it's dark. Question it. Who? Mu. Or breathe in the midst of it. There is breathing going on in the midst of agitation and confusion. This is what is meant by not pursuing. The energy gathered in the questioning, in not knowing, in not diagnosing or explaining or being carried away. Or maybe to discover that one loves to be carried away. It's really a pleasure. And one must be very honest with oneself and not, on the one hand, enjoy being carried away in one's thoughts, and then again complain that one cannot be concentrated. Always to be clear what's going on. Not deluding oneself. As Wenang says, even the most ignorant person cannot say he does not understand. People say, I'm so confused. I don't understand. But yet one understands that one is confused. But one wants to get the detail cleared away. Maybe solutions come from an entirely different level of being. Not battling with particulars. When people practice the Dharma, they should allow nothing to stand in their way. We always try to avoid the shoulds, because that can become a compulsion. Let's always question it. Is it possible that there's nothing in the way? When one asks this, then one will discover what is in the way. And if one discovers it and sees the danger of it, the wastefulness of it, maybe it'll clear on its own. without any shoulds. What are obstacles? Are obstacles obstacles? We've so often said, Dharma gates, beyond measure I vow to penetrate. Maybe an obstacle is not an obstacle at all, it is a Dharma gate. If there's no separation, no thinking it shouldn't be, it's wrong. But being that and questioning it, not knowing who or mu, in the midst of obstacles and delusions. Not saying it's all right to have obstacles or delusions, this is already moving away from them. Who says that? It's already a knower who knows what's right and wrong. In who and mu, there's no knower. It's only who. Not knowing. What is in the way? Everything without exception is the way. What is it? I copied a quote here from the Buddha. I was going to mention this when we were talking about what is the world. Maybe I'll read it now. Verily, said Buddha one time to his disciples, verily I declare unto you that within this very body, mortal though it be and only a fathom high, but conscious and endowed with mind, there is the world, and the waxing thereof, and the waning thereof, and the way that leads to the passing away thereof. We will end here for today. The four vows.
All beings without number.
I vow to liberate endless blind passion. I vow to uproot Dharma gates passion.